Askar Sharliyev and you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. On February 9th, the famous USA versus James Giffen trial, also known as Kazakhgate, was resumed in New York. Among many people involved in the case is the president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev. But the main defendant is his former advisor James Giffen, who is accused of taking bribes from American companies in the mid-90s for the rights to develop Kazakh oil fields. These funds were later wired to Swiss bank accounts belonging to the leadership of the country. Foreign press refers to James Giffen as Mr. Kazakhstan. He is involved in a major corruption scandal which is also linked to the most powerful people in Kazakhstan. Currently, Wall Street media pays a very close attention to the development of the situation. Meanwhile, it is still dangerous to even talk about the process nicknamed Kazakhgate, as the topic is still tabooed. The authorities, with the help of Giffen, a former advisor of the country's president, received bribes from American companies to obtain oil development and production licenses. This is how Mobil bought a share in Tengiz oil field and Amokos purchased the Caspian Pipeline Consortium. A number of companies used Giffen's services. A total of about $80 million were wired to Swiss bank accounts and later found by Geneva's prosecutor's office. That is, except for $1 billion which was returned to the country. The money's origins was explained by the necessity to create a state reserve fund abroad. The opening of a foreign bank account was done in accordance with special instructions on behalf and in the interests of Kazakhstan. Back then, the decree on the secret monetary fund was signed as a reserve in case of an economic crisis and threats to the national security. I emphasize, the president was acting solely in the country's interests and within the Kazakh legislation. The U.S. Justice Department has actually confiscated $84 million from the account belonging to the Kazakh Finance Ministry's treasury. This money had been transferred there by the tracked interim accounts chains of private individuals. Astana was trying to challenge the decision, but lost all trials. As an example, we have court materials on the suit of Kazakhstan, Dinara Kulibayeva and Altai East Company, registered in the British Virgin Islands, represented by attorney Alen Birjinoy. There were a few actions like this. However, the Swiss Federal Tribunal rejected all these claims, and the Criminal Appeal Court found that bank accounts were owned by a private organization other than the Republic of Kazakhstan. Kazakh communists believe that the economic fraud case has long become a political pressure tool used against the country and its leadership. The party leader, MP Serikbolsin Abdildin, wants to hear the president answer some very specific questions. What is the origin of funds belonging to the state and placed on private accounts of foreign banks? For what purposes they were placed there? Who took the decision on such placement of funds owned by the Republic of Kazakhstan? If Nazarbayev will continue to keep silent, some answers could be obtained through Kazakhgate. The process was postponed due to the major revelations of James Giffen. He said that he was doing work for the CIA and that is why he had to bribe the leadership of Kazakhstan. Bribes to senior officials, fraud, money laundering, etc. There are a total of 62 charges that can lead to Giffen facing 20 years in prison. It is already clear that both the US Supreme Court and the population of Kazakhstan expect to hear a voluntary confession, but not only from the accused American. Following the presentations of defense and prosecution, Judge William Pauly demanded the parties to send him a letter in early March, which would settle the principles of dealing with documents containing state secrets. The next court hearing is scheduled for March 26 of this year. By that date, the sides must familiarize with documents. We will continue to follow these developments. Meanwhile, another widely publicized trial is starting in Astana. Kazhimkhan Masimov, the father of the current prime minister, accuses human rights activist Talas Saganbayev of causing harm to his honor and dignity. Masimov demands $70,000 as compensation. The activist's defendants are South Kazakh businessmen who are now preparing counterclaims and intend to recover $500,000 from the 70-year-old Masimov.
On February 10th, Astana District Court has begun the legal proceeding initiated by the father of Kazakh Prime Minister. The 70-year-old Kazhimkhan Masimov sued a group of South Kazakhstan businessmen who accused him of funds embezzlement last year. The plaintiff did not attend the first hearing, which caused the defendants bewilderment.
These people came from Shymkent and Masimov Sr. shamelessly deceived them. He doesn't pay them owned money and just feeds them guarantee letters.
Masimov Sr. estimated his honor and dignity at $70,000. He demanded this amount from civil activist Talas Saganbayev for organizing last year's action on behalf of the entrepreneurs group. Previously, human rights activist led his clients to the government building, and now he brought them to the courtroom. We appealed everywhere by the US Embassy and the OSCE, but Kazakhstan hates the organization itself. We openly say that we suffered only because of Masimov's name. This is the second group of businessmen who claim that the Prime Minister's father owes about $500,000 supposedly for the undersupplied cement. Now they are ready to provide the court with the reinforced concrete argument, which is a recipe from Hazar KZ company, co-founded by Kazakhstan Masimov. The venerable elder does not deny that he works for the company, although he is not responsible for finances there.
I absolutely do not understand the fact that the scandals have occurred. I am personally not responsible for financial affairs, both as an individual and legal person. There's no great drama in this issue, as it was created artificially.
The scandal does not leave newspaper pages and is actively discussed in the internet since the last year. Nevertheless, web experts do not even try to predict its outcome. Some argue that businessmen are fighting for their own economic losses. Others stood up for Masimov Sr., as they say the father became a victim of political ambitions of his son's opponents.
Another developing scandal linked to a well-known person in Kazakhstan is becoming a headache for law enforcement agencies. During yesterday's briefing of the Internal Affairs Ministry, the police finally admitted that they never dealt with the letter of Mukhtar Ablazov in which he accuses Timur Kulibayev of state property embezzlement.
The police noted during the press conference that they never received any documents and never passed anything to the financial police. However, exactly a week ago at the last briefing of the Internal Affairs Ministry, its representative said the absolute opposite. This time, Kuanishbek Zhumanov readdressed the issue to the country's supervisory authority. According to the law on internal affairs and criminal legislation, the Internal Affairs Ministry doesn't review similar cases. They need to be addressed to the Prosecutor General's office.
We also have new information about Kazatomprom trial. Apparently, the involvement of public defender Bulat Asatayev in the case is illegal, as he has no right to access state secrets. Mukhtar Jakishev's attorney Nurlan Beysikeyev is ready to prove this to the court.
Public defender Bulat Asatayev is declassified. Apparently, he has no right of access to state secrets. Interestingly, though, this does not prevent him from participating in Kazatomprom's legal proceedings. Mukhtar Jakishev's attorney Nurlan Beysikeyev already has all the evidence he needs.
I received a response to my request from Astana Court's administrators, which says that the attorney Isatayev was never granted the right to access the state secrets. Also, he never even applied for such right.
The Department of Justice in Astana confirmed the attorney's words. Bulat Asatayev is not listed as a lawyer with access to state secrets. Mukhtar Jakishev and Nurlan Beysikeyev prepared the motion to dismiss the public defender from the case. In her turn, attorney Hamida Aytkalieva, hired by Talgat Kastaubayev's family, cannot obtain such permission for already 3 months. I intend to apply to the corresponding authorities to bring criminal proceedings against the authorized persons of the National Security Committee Department. Another interesting detail, Jamila Jakisheva said that her statement filed to Astana District Internal Affairs Department on the fact of causing her bodily harm by public defender Isatayev was unexpectedly lost. Jakisheva was informed that the statement was passed to the city prosecutor's office and then it ended up in Astana's Internal Affairs Department. I have no idea what my statement is doing there. I think that again suggests that actions of some lawyers are being covered up, while others are not allowed to interfere. This is a 10th hearing on the case of the uranium company. Meanwhile, Nurlan Beysikeyev has already filed more than 10 different motions. The latest one is the request to review the case with a jury. Another request is to attach a medical report of an independent physician, Vladimir Babarykin. His findings indicate Jakishev's unstable health condition. The expert says the defendant needs urgent hospitalization. This, however, is opposed by the National Security Committee doctors who claim that ex-head of Kazatomprom is able to raise his own blood pressure at will and using just his muscle tension.